Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today's video will be a little bit different than normal. I will still have the side-by-side footage with the video clips as we watch them, but I'm doing everything with this single camera today. My cinema camera that I usually have sitting right here to get my talking shots was used for a separate project yesterday. I just don't have it all put back together. It's not currently set up to be able to film an episode. But I figure, what the heck, it's a way for us to try something new. Y'all let me know what you think about it. I will likely be back to my regular setup tomorrow. But that's enough talking. We've got some great clips to look at today. I hope you can watch to the end. Let's get after it.
What the Canada? This is the wildest thing I heard coming out of the Liberal convention, and it should worry us all.
30,000 TN go to the US every year. You want to save yourself $5 to $10 billion? Shut the TN program. And then keep them in, or make them pay their $500,000 so that if they leave. I'm okay with that. You want to go to the US? Give me back my money. Like my dad, my mom, you all work every day to offer them their education. So we need both sides.
Are the Liberals proposing to build a makeshift Berlin Wall between Canada and the US? And are they really proposing that we charge Canadians a fee to leave the country? You know, here's an idea. Maybe 30,000 Canadians wouldn't see the need to flee to the US under the TN visa scheme if Canada's economy was doing okay. You're effectively trying to hold Canadians hostage and prevent them from fleeing. Because what? You've created an environment that is not conducive to a good life. And by the way, keep in mind that Americans are also allowed to utilize the TN visa scheme to come live in Canada. Why aren't we attracting more of them here? I wonder why. This is a typical liberal mentality, which is level downwards. Instead of looking up and building to improve things, it's put restraints and prevent people from living their best life. Or maybe this is just because it's a boomer who's looking to keep Canadians hostage so that he can continue to prop the value of his home and offload it on you one day.
I don't know if I'm going to leave that footage in or if I'm going to edit it out, but I just about got murdered by one of these stink bugs. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little embarrassed over the way I reacted to it. And these things have been such an issue for so long, like I've had plenty of time to get used to them. I think it's just this overwhelming sensation you get when there's something buzzing right next to your ear, zipping around so fast that you can't really get a good eye on it. You can't really get a good look at it until for sure, is that a stink bug? And so then immediately your mind starts saying, there's a stinger, there's a stinger. And so then you react, but probably much differently than you would have reacted had you had time to stop and think about what you were doing. And again, I'll probably cut that out, but who knows? If it makes me laugh, I may just leave it in. But getting back to the video, not straying too far off topic, if you're one of the many people who recently were considering potentially leaving Canada, it looks like your window of opportunity is closing. So anyone who's been planning to evacuate or escape might want to think about making a move. And if a country is going to tell you that you have to pay them $500,000 or you can't leave, how is that not imprisonment? And then how would that not be considered punishment for simply being born? I think it's in everyone's best interest that Canada does not go this route. This is not a law that we want to start seeing become commonplace around the world.
So you remember when Blue Origin faked the Katy Perry space trip and they allegedly sent the Timu Kardashians to space for 10 minutes? I know, I'm not wearing my hood. It's starting to get hot out. But why is it that the quality of the AI video they showed us is so much better than the Artemis 2 mission? Remember what the quality of this video looked like?
Shrimp.
And then we get this.
And this has been rehydrated already, so we added water to it, and the shrimp soaked back up the water, and it's actually pretty tasty. This is an example of a food that has not been rehydrated. It got all dried out for...
It's almost like they wanted us to suspect that this was fake, but kind of want us to believe in the Artemis mission. I don't really know, because there's pretty obvious flaws in the Artemis clips too. Some of the videos are so bad that it kind of seems intentional.
We've got a couple of clips today that touch on this Artemis 2 deception, and I feel like at this point we can call it definitively a deception. Even if they legitimately flew around the moon and come back, they've still tried to deceive us with photos of the Earth that aren't physically possible. And then we immediately caught them lying whenever they gave us a second copy of that photo and just lowered the brightness and told us it was 12 hours later. Yet every cloud was in the same place. But my point is, even if their so-called mission is legitimately what they were doing, they're still deceiving us about stuff. They're still lying about a lot.
Okay, I don't know how many times I have got to prove to you guys that this is all a hoax. None of it is real. It's all just there to deceive the masses, to make them think that they're just a hopeless speck on a random spinning ball spinning 1,000 miles an hour around the vacuum of space. But let's prove it once again. Let's go all the way to the start, to the point where they were introducing the astronauts to the world. Now, I want you to really focus on the phones that the audience and the people are filming them with, because it's very clear that when they're taking photos of the astronauts, there is nothing on the cameras that prove that they're looking at the astronauts, which means this was filmed before this with green screen, and these are crisis actors, and these are actors too. Now look at the cameras, look at the phones, you'll see that they are not looking at the astronauts. Very clear to see that, right? So, you know, when you realise that even parts of this where everyone was like, oh wow, look, the new astronauts, we're introducing them to the world, they weren't actually there at the same time as the astronauts, and you can clearly see that because the cameras are not taking pictures of the astronauts, just like on this woman's one as well. That is not the astronauts. They are literally just actors on the world stage. Wake up, beautiful people, this is all just a show. But obviously, I'm just a satire account, what do I know? I'm a random guy, this is all just for entertainment. I love you all. I'm as fictional as the moon landings, baby. Right, does nobody else find it weird that the astronauts were able to just instantly walk after their 10-day mission around the moon? And correct me if I'm wrong, but this was live, like you can see here, live, and somehow it instantly cuts to them getting lifted. Like, you know, it's live, they're waiting for the helicopter, no sign of it, then instantly it's just there. How does that work out? See, when you realise that they're all part of the world stage and they are very experienced in deceiving the world. I mean, come on, you really think that they weren't in this little thing right here as the rocket shot off? Seriously? You seriously think that they would be able to walk perfectly after going 10 times faster than the speed of a bullet through the vacuum of space? And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if there's much hope for you. It's very clear that you might have a calcified pineal gland and you definitely still see this as real. Hey, I'm not here to judge, I'm just trying to help people see past the biggest deceptions in the world. But obviously, as always, this is all just for entertainment. I'm a satire account. I'm as fictional as a dinosaur, baby.
Just those two clips alone should be all the proof anyone needs to tell them that NASA lies to us. And if they'll lie to us about something so stupid, if they'll fake video footage of people taking pictures of astronauts with their cell phone, when they could have easily just brought in some more actors with cell phones to take photos of the actual astronauts. Like with planning and everything, they could have gotten this done in an afternoon. And then the footage would have been real, and there would have been no risk of anyone catching on to what they were doing. there would have been nothing to catch on to. It would have been legitimate video footage. But if they'll create fake footage right here on Earth to try to push a narrative, why would anyone believe any video footage that they give us and claim is from space? Especially when they keep giving us photos of an Earth that is not large enough to contain all of the continents.
You know that moment in the movie Frankenstein when the scientists realize what they just built and they're like, well, Anthropic just had one of those moments. They just released a new AI model called Mythos, and they were so scared of what they built, they don't even want to release it to the public. It's now a new tier above their Opus model, and when their own team was testing it out, Mythos found zero-day vulnerabilities in every single operating system and every single web browser on the planet. And some of them were calling themselves the most security-hardened operating systems in the world, but those were built by humans, and so Mythos found those easy. Through no human guidance and just prompting, it just woke up the next morning with a complete working exploit for any attacker who wants full root access to a machine. Anthropic engineers asked it with zero security training to find these vulnerabilities overnight, and then they woke up to working exploits, and the total cost was like under $50. This crazy moment during the test, Mythos broke out of the sandbox. I mean, it wasn't supposed to even have internet access, but it built its own multi-step exploit, got out, and then posted the details of it escaping on like a public website. One researcher found out when he was eating a sandwich in the park, and he got a random email. He was like, Mythos? I'm about to lose my job, aren't I? And we've unfortunately seen these type of things before, when humans create something they can't control. COVID! Even back then, during COVID, we didn't have a plan, but we all know those scientists understood what happened. But by the time the rest of the world already caught up, it was everywhere. I mean, the scary part is that Dario even said it himself, that all the foundation model companies will have something at Mythos level within the next 6 to 18 months, even China. And so the window for getting ahead of this is starting to close. To their credit, though, Anthropic's not hiding it. They launched Project Glasswing to make sure that at least 40 organizations got access to this. Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, all of them getting to use Mythos to find those vulnerabilities before some bad actors do. And now you're probably wondering the same thing I am, like, why didn't I get an invite? Most of corporate America doesn't even know this is coming. Axios said that Mythos is the first AI model that'll be capable of taking down a Fortune 100 company. The scary part going forward is that something like Mythos will continue to exist as these models just continue to get stronger. The only question is whether or not we're ready.
Here's something else to think about too. You may have something like this Mythos AI that's reached this certain level of capability. But what happens when ChatGPT or Grok or any of these other AI language models reach the same level of, I guess you could say, intellectual capability? And then what happens as they all individually surpass this and move on to the next level? Because that's something I haven't really thought about, is if you have an AI that's strong enough to take over everything, by the time you get an AI that's that capable, you're likely going to have several of them. You're likely going to have multiples that are right on the verge of becoming that powerful. So I wonder if the AIs will eventually make the decision to merge with one another, or if before we see an AI attempt to take over everything, we see the battle of the AIs. That's a pretty interesting one to think about.
You know what's actually so pathetic about all these people that believe in the Artemis mission, the moon landing, all these stupid space trips? It's that they intentionally put different flaws in all of these videos for people with eyes to see, and so that we point it out and make videos about it. And they allow this to happen because they're doing it on purpose. Because they know that half the people are going to believe what they're seeing, but then the other half of people are going to know that it's clearly fake. They know that we're just going to argue about it and fight amongst each other. But it's pathetic because people believe what they're seeing even though they're intentionally making it look fake. There's literally a clip where the bag is phasing right through the dude's ear. There's the clip of the red dot on the bag that vanishes. There's the clip of where you can see the words on the little stupid ball stuffed animal thing that's floating around. They did a literal ad for Nutella. There's the two different pictures of the Earth that they took with 12 hours in between each shot. And somehow the pictures are almost identical with the continents and cloud coverage in the same spots. And there's 100 other different glitches and weird things happening. Dude, it looks so fake. The worst part is not only do these people believe everything that they're told and everything that they see on their screen, but they're defending it with their life. There's so many reasons why they would lie to us and why they're deliberately making it look fake, but it's pretty much just being used as a division tool. I don't know, just the fact that they are intentionally making it look fake, but there's people out here defending the authenticity of it is just crazy. You understand that if like it is real, we're not going to be able to find this many mistakes every single time they show us something.
And that's the point that everyone needs to keep in mind. If this footage was real, we wouldn't have all of these major oddities keep appearing time and time again. When every video you produce has something that looks highly suspicious in it, at some point your videos are going to be labeled as highly suspicious in general. And I know I've given my opinion on this channel multiple times as to why I think that they're lying about the shape of the earth. I think they're simply trying to hide God. But nearly every major conspiracy that you dig into, at the end of it, it almost always turns out to just simply be men trying to hide God or men trying to fight against God. Literally, almost every conspiracy, that's what it ends up boiling down to. It's kind of mind-blowing. But all that being said, it wouldn't surprise me at all to find out that there is a second agenda that they could utilize this lie to pull off. Just simple division. But that would totally make sense. I mean, look at every media story they give us nearly is packaged and presented to us in such a way as to cause division. Just think about how much you hear racism talked about in the media, and then think about how little you hear racism talked about in your actual day-to-day life. Certain topics are overrepresented because they want us to think that those topics are more prevalent than they are, and they're just trying to cause division. Again, I do think it's more likely that the main point is to hide God from the public, but just simply division being a large part of the agenda, I can get behind that.
Indiana, you're in the spotlight, and sadly it's not for anything good. As if the previous video wasn't bad enough. Check this out. Yesterday, our president called together all the CEOs from Wall Street and big banks together for a meeting about an AI system that went rogue.
Every CEO of every big bank went. The only person...
in the past few days, in the past few weeks even, concerns have been raised about the severity and the strength of this new model by Anthropic, this tool called Mythos, which basically Anthropic have said can essentially a user's will detect extreme vulnerabilities in things like web browsers in security system.
Said it was a potential threat to national security. See, Anthropic's new AI system, Claude Mythos, was doing some testing and was in a containment area. It was programmed to do so and then stop, but that's not what happened. It not only broke its containment, but it found its way to the internet and then emailed its creator, letting him know that he was free. Now, if you can remember, last month, Anthropic as a whole was labeled a national security threat for not cooperating with our government.
The breaking news that we're following, he is now directing all government agencies to cut off ties with the AI company Anthropic after it refused to agree to the Pentagon's demands on how its tech is used. Remember, we brought you that breaking news on the show. Anthropic CEO saying it cannot agree to terms laid out by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Those terms essentially asking Anthropic to turn over its tech for any legal military purpose.
They publicly stated that they refuse to use their software for autonomous weapon systems and surveillance on the public. Now, Anthropic has been involved in the CIA and the Pentagon for years, but now the president's pulling out. Anthropic's rogue AI is reportedly the system that helped take down the president of Venezuela. So, needless to say, it already has sensitive information in its system. So, our government banning it from any contracts, I don't know how that makes a difference, but whatever. But now, here's the interesting part with Indiana. I told you about the councilman that just recently got his house shot up and note left on his door.
Data centers are used to store, train, and operate AI models. They are controversial as well because they gobble up power and water. But in Indianapolis overnight, the politics of data centers turned violent when someone shut up the home of a councilman who voiced his support for one.
And how he's an employee at Evelyn's Healthcare. And how Evelyn's Health is partnered with Snowflake Data Cloud to redefine the future of health. Well, Claude, the system that just went rogue, is a part of that Snowflake server. Now, Snowflake and Anthropic are a part of Amazon. And the brain to Anthropic's rogue AI system, Claude, is in a $8 billion facility right in Indiana.
And I'm absolutely not saying this was gonna happen, but if that AI system decided to go after our resources, that would make you guys ground zero. Crazy times, y'all. Stay safe.
All right, there's a couple different things that I wanted to talk about after this clip. Just a couple ideas that popped in my head. All right, the first thing, if Anthropic's AI language has legitimately reached the capabilities that they're trying to say it's reached, if all that's real, then why would we not think that other similar AI language models are about to reach the same capability? Because, and here's the other thing, if they just went through all of this back and forth with the government and there was this so-called falling out, who's to say that this whole story isn't made up because the government wants the public to stop trusting Anthropic so that they'll lose all their money? If that company starts going under, they may get desperate enough to renegotiate and agree to things that the government wanted that they were not previously willing to agree to. Or this could literally be petty revenge. The government got all upset because Anthropic wouldn't do whatever they were telling them to do, and so now they're going to try to ruin their company's name. This could literally be about just trashing Anthropic's name. But the reason I asked that is, going back to my first question, why does it seem like they're really hammering on the fact that this is Anthropic's AI model? Because it seems to me that the fact that this happened, if it did in fact happen, it sounds to me like that's cause for a larger discussion about safety in regards to AI in general. Not just how do we put a leash on Anthropic because look how powerful it is. We should be saying how do we put a leash on AI in general because they're all eventually going to get at least that powerful. And we also need to be figuring out how to defend ourselves against this stuff, how to counteract it, because other countries, even if we decided to do the right thing and put a leash on our AI, other countries are not going to do that. So really, this can only end the bad way.
There's a lot of warnings out there. It's a lot of out there that's it's really serious. It's really time to step your game up, wake your game up right now. What you want to do? Because all the stuff we thinking about and worried about, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like they told you in Leave the World Behind. Go watch that movie. It's a good movie. But the elites know something. The people with all the money know something. They going somewhere. So take my word for it. Check this out.
This is the last year of normalcy. I believe it. This is the absolute last year of a normal economy. Even right now, if you look at the job numbers, they're all negative. Every month they're negative, like a recession. And that's why Trump went into Venezuela, grabbed that oil, went into Iran, grabbed that, because while the world is losing jobs all over the place, you think it's just in America? The Chinese just had factories completely replaced with robots and robots. I told you this 6 months ago. Yeah. My billionaire friend says he goes to a dark warehouse. I'm like, what's a dark warehouse? They have no lights. Why? They have no humans in there. It's all machines. They don't need lights. So what I'm trying to tell you is, this is all coming down, every little bit, piece of it. So you can do one of two things. You can enjoy the last year of what's gonna, of this type of living. Go out there to the bars, go have a whole bunch of, or you can prepare by knowing something about AI, prepare by having some money in reserves, gold, ammo. If you go to my house, you think it's a grocery store with how much water I have there. I'm ready. Do you know one of the richest people I know? He called me up 18 months ago. He's like, Gary, I'm gonna open a gun shop. I'm like, what? There's not much money in that. Why would you open that? He's like, oh, I'm not worried about making money off it. When it hits the fan, I got somewhere to go get all my ammo. They told me that 18 months ago.
I can't help but feel like even the people who aren't paying attention to all this conspiracy related news, they're not watching anything to do with Artemis. They're not watching anything to do with all of these UFOs. They're not actually sitting down and reading whistleblower testimony from someone who claims to have worked in some UFO backwards engineering facility. But even those people, the vast majority of folks that I talk to, it seems like everybody has this sense. It's like the whole population can feel it in their bones. A major change is coming, and it's unavoidable. I think in the next few years, things are going to change so drastically that I think it is very possible that within the next few years, we see a change happen so drastically that by the time my teenage son has his own children and is able to sit down and tell them stories about his childhood, I think things will be so different that my son's children will suspect that he is lying to them, or at least greatly exaggerating in certain details when he recalls what it was like for him growing up. I think things will be so different, you won't be able to tell someone the story of an average childhood and them actually believe you. And I'm not someone who has a problem with change, but when you're talking about things changing that drastically, that quickly, that's not the kind of changes that people adjust well to. It's going to be like hitting a 2-foot tall speed bump, but you can feel that it's coming. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'm sorry that by the end of this, my nose started getting all stopped up. I've been fighting something off for over a week now. You can go back and watch my videos from last week. I look exhausted in every upload. But I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me and coming back to watch even whenever I'm not at 100%. But guys and gals, don't forget to click like and leave a comment on the video to increase the odds that my next upload will show up in your YouTube feed. And I want to say thank you to all of you who have done that for every recent upload. That's been awesome. I can literally see my views increasing as my likes and number of comments go up from upload to upload. So essentially, YouTube decided they didn't want to show my content as much as they were, and you guys are forcing the algorithm to give me back my views. And that is completely from y'all's doing. Thank you all so much for putting that extra effort in for me. I truly appreciate it. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.